So, you've got a modern car, right? And I bet you've heard the horror stories. Engines developing weird ticks, turbos just giving up, and major, costly problems happening way, way sooner than they ever should. It really feels like they just don't build them like they used to. But what if the real reason for all these failures isn't what you think? What if it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time? So that's the big question, isn't it? Why are these new, supposedly advanced engines failing so prematurely? And look, the answer isn't just cheap parts or bad manufacturing. It's actually tied to a massive misunderstanding of the most basic, fundamental fluid in your car, the motor oil. I bet you've heard of some of these, maybe even experienced them. The infamous Hemi tech, roller camshafts getting absolutely chewed up, bearings that wear out in a flash. They all seem like different problems, but they share a secret common cause. This is especially true in engines with all the new fancy tech, like variable valve timing, the system that constantly adjusts things for better performance, or displacement on demand, which shuts down cylinders to save you a little gas. We all think we know what oil does, right? It lubricates, it cleans, it cools. But here's the thing. In today's engines, oil has this secret job, a job that almost nobody talks about. And understanding this one secret is the key to unlocking this whole mystery of why they fail. Yup, you heard that right. Your motor oil is also a hydraulic fluid. It's the muscle. It's what your engine uses to create the incredible pressure it needs to run those complex systems, like adjusting valve timing on the fly. And this is where everything goes sideways. Because when oil has to work as a hydraulic fluid, the rules of the game, they change completely.
Now, to really get why this is such a huge deal, we can't just stick to the usual car guy advice. We have to look at industries where failure is simply not an option. Think aerospace, power plants, that kind of thing. In the industrial world, they've known for decades that when you're using a fluid for hydraulics, one thing matters more than anything else: how clean it is.
All right, so let's dive into the science here. What does all that industrial data actually tell us about what makes mechanical parts wear out and die? The answer is probably going to surprise you. Okay, get this. This number is just staggering. A whopping 82% of all mechanical wear is caused by particulate contamination. We're talking about microscopic dirt and tiny bits of metal floating around in the fluid. It's not the brand of oil you use, it's not the weight or the viscosity, it's the dirt. Plain and simple. So in the industrial world, they have a way to measure this. It's called an ISO cleanliness code, and it's really simple. The higher the number, the dirtier the fluid. And there's a direct, undeniable link. The dirtier the oil gets, the shorter the life of the machine. And here's the really scary part. Most engine oil, I'm talking brand new, right out of the bottle, is often dirtier than what's considered totally unacceptable on this chart. So you're probably wondering, how can something so small you can't even see it cause a massive, wallet-draining engine failure? Well, like the engineer Billy Goldbold says, it all starts small. Every single huge, catastrophic failure you can see and touch actually began as damage on a microscopic level. And this is how it happens. It's brilliant, really. Picture a pothole forming on a brand new road. A tiny, super hard particle gets squished between two moving metal surfaces. All that force gets focused on one microscopic point, and it doesn't damage the surface. It actually creates a tiny crack underneath the surface. With every single rotation of the engine, that little crack grows and grows until, bam, a chunk of metal breaks off, leaving a pit. That's your visible failure, your pothole. Okay, so we know the enemy, this microscopic dirt. But where is it all coming from? Well, here's the big twist in our story. A lot of it is coming from the engine itself. And the advice you're getting from the manufacturer might just be making the whole problem 1,000 times worse. Forget that myth about engines being broken in at the factory. It's just not true. We have data from thousands of oil samples to prove it. Here's the most important takeaway. The most wear and tear your engine will ever see happens in its first 10,000 miles. During this break-in period, it's shedding up to 3 times more wear particles, more of that microscopic dirt, than at any other time in its normal life. And that is why the factory telling you to wait 5, 10, even 15,000 miles for your first oil change is, well, it's just absolutely ridiculous. You are literally sandblasting your brand new engine from the inside out with its own gritty debris during the most vulnerable time of its life. Need a real-world example? Let's look at the pros. Joe Gibbs Racing figured out their roller lifters were lasting twice as long as their competitors. What was their secret? It was simple. Their break-in process involved changing the oil 3 times before a new engine ever even touched the racetrack. They were flushing out all that damaging junk while everyone else was just letting it circulate. The results, as they say, speak for themselves. Okay, so we found the pillar, right? It's microscopic contamination, especially during that critical break-in period. So the big question is, what can you actually do about it? Let's put together a smart, simple plan to make your engine last. So the strategy is actually pretty simple. You just have to match your oil changes to your engine's stage of life. In the beginning, in those first 10,000 miles when it's making a mess, you do short, frequent oil changes to get all that junk out. Then, once it's broken in and running clean, you can absolutely stretch those oil changes out. And then, way down the road, when the engine is old and starts to wear a bit more, you just shorten those intervals back up again. Easy. All right, here's your complete checklist, your game plan for making your engine last. First, follow that life stage oil change plan. Get the break-in metals out early. Second, always use top-tier gasoline. It keeps your fuel system clean and prevents gas from thinning out your oil. And third, and this is a big one, choose high-efficiency air and oil filters. Remember, catching the dirt is way more important than how fast the oil flows. So at the end of the day, it's not about what brand of fancy synthetic oil you're buying. It's not about blindly following that little sticker on your windshield. The real question you need to ask yourself is this. After everything we've just seen, is the oil circulating through your engine right now actually clean enough to protect it?